switching to English.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome to my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. I'm your host, Almina Bešić. We are recording over the weekend. Yeah, moms and dads, parents.
Yes.
Almina, so nice to see you and so nice to have you on my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. Warm welcome.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. I've watched a couple of videos as well.
You did?
So
Okay.
really, yes, I did. And really, there were a couple of people I know as well. I'm really happy it's my turn.
Yes, and thank you for jumping in over the weekend. We both have small kids, and there's a lot of things to do and full-time jobs. I always like to ask this question, like what has to happen so that you can join the interview, or a conference or event with small kids. Usually that's that there's this question like who had to do or what did you had to prepare the whole day so that you can make the time for it. And yeah, it's a lot of work. Someone had to step in, there had to be organized. Husband driving around making sure that kids fall to sleep. So yeah, kudos to everyone helping, and yeah, we know to appreciate especially parents who grow up raising children abroad without a lot of parents. Yeah. So Almina, we start usually with Making It in Austria here with your brief or long introduction, and then we take it from there to see what made it happen for you in Austria.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always very difficult to say who am I, right? Brief or long, doesn't matter. But I'll go brief, and then we can go further. I think now that you were talking introduction, I was thinking like, I don't know, like every woman, I'm sort of a chameleon, I guess. But first, I'm a woman, and that I really like to kind of emphasize that because it shapes the life experiences, certainly. I mean, we talked also before recording how it is to have little children and how to do that. And I'm second, sort of, I'm a researcher, I'm a social scientist, and actually I'm a migration researcher. And that is actually my second identity, I would say. I'm a migrant. I have a rather transient approach to places, to belonging. I see myself belonging simultaneously to many places. This can be good or bad, I guess. And then also I'm a mother of 2 kids who have put my life upside down in the last 7 years, I would say, and who also in a sense have shaped the way where I'm now. So here, Austria. And you also mentioned kind of people who help us in our daily life, and I'm a wife, and I would say that without my husband, who is 100% partner in all the things that I do, I couldn't do the majority of the things that I'm doing. So we probably have a very strong partnership in a, I would say, intercultural marriage. So he has also come to understand what it means to have a kind of migrant life and what it entails. Yeah. So that's a bit of a short and broad, I don't know, answer.
And you come from Bosnia. We come from the same area, from Krajina.
Exactly, yeah.
And you live in Linz, right?
I live in Linz now, yeah. Exactly.
Have you been living somewhere else in Austria?
I have. So, I mean, in general, I've been moving around a lot. But if I think kind of back to Austria, so I've moved twice to Austria. So the first time I started actually as a bachelor student, and I moved to Graz, which is a city in the south. And this was kind of the early 2000s. And at that time, I mean, I started my bachelor studies in Bosnia.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say that life was...
in Bihać?
No, I was in Bihać, actually.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say that life was difficult. It was actually quite nice time in Bosnia around that time. So it wasn't a sort of a hard life that kind of drew me away from the country, which I think a lot of people obviously have experienced before and after when I came to Austria. But because I was also, as a kid, I was a forced migrant. I was a refugee in Germany for 4 years.
Okay.
I kind of already had a migratory experience, and at that time I was I was a little bit naive as well, and I wanted to see something else in a way. So I thought, okay, I'll go study abroad. And what do I know? I can speak German, so I'll go into a German-speaking country. And from our region, so from Krajina, most people went actually to Austria because very close. And we have these historical ties, and I think that plays a big role as well, I would say. So, and then I decided on Graz on the one hand because it was less overwhelming than Vienna. I would say it was a smaller city. Austria at the time was very welcoming. Actually, we didn't pay student tuition, so that was really good. And a lot of my friends and kind of acquaintances also went. I kind of in hindsight, it was obviously a good decision because a couple of years later we had the economic crisis, which impacted also sort of life in Bosnia quite a lot. So, and then even more people sort of left. But in my case, it wasn't an economic migration in the sense I was very curious about seeing something else in a way. So I was kind of 18 years old. Yeah. So I started, so I continued my bachelor studies in Graz, but actually I had to start over because almost none of my courses got recognized. So recognition of qualification is a very big problem. And I think this is almost 20 years ago, and I think still it's a problem for a lot of qualified migrants. So then I actually started again. So I studied economics and business, my studies in Graz, finished my bachelor's, and then continued actually simultaneously my master's studies. And at that time also I became very interested in research through my professors, and the PhD position came up, and then one of my professors asked me to apply. So I also then kind of applied for a PhD. So I was very long in Graz, studying and working almost 8 years. And then I left Austria for about 4 years. Exactly. Yeah, I left shortly after my PhD. I was a while in Brussels. I did a traineeship there for the European Commission. And then I left to the UK. And I was almost 4 years in the UK. Then a lot of things happened. I mean, I really enjoyed living there. But at the time also Brexit happened. My son was born there. And my husband, he's Austrian. So we met in Graz. I'm kind of going back and forth. And then we were thinking, okay, is there maybe any other option to go somewhere else? And I wanted to go back to research. In the UK, I was working as a consultant. And then through my network, actually, in Austria, and I know you are the networking queen, I heard about positions at University of Linz. So I applied, and basically a couple months before the COVID-19 pandemic, so 2019, we came to Linz on position now. So it's almost 7 years in Linz. Wow. So yeah, long time in Austria actually, but with a bit of a break, which gives you a bit of a different perspective, I think, on the country as well.
True. I have two questions that came to my mind. One of them is related to languages that you speak at home and with your kids. That was, in the first part. And the second one was related to migration. And one of the questions that came to my mind was, what is the topic around migration that we don't talk enough about? I mean, that we don't, look, because in Austria, there's, as with global trends, with politics, things shape and change and come and go. So you have often you have the feeling that things are polarized in a way that, I take this side, I am pro, and this is I'm against, and I'm against certain group of people and certain majorities, and I'm pro this, and so one of them was like about the languages that came to my mind. So how do you, because you speak obviously German and English and Bosnian, and your husband Bosnian, probably some words, and how do you raise kids in a multilingual environment outside of your home country?
I'll start with the easier question, which is the languages one, and then the migration one is quite a hard question. So in terms of languages, I don't think that language is just language. It transfers culture, it transfers connection. So for me, it's very important that my kids speak my mother tongue. And actually, since my son was born, so he was born in the UK, but I have actually from his birth on spoken only Bosnian with him, and he speaks Bosnian fluently. My husband, he speaks German with both kids. So my daughter, she's 2, she speaks a little bit of both right now. But and with both children, I speak Bosnian, and we also, you know, listen a little bit to Bosnian music. We go quite often. I mean, this is the good thing in Austria. It's not far from exactly. Bosnia, so you can go quite often. So we go actually quite often, as well as my husband also goes with us and is very included in the culture and understands the culture. So if you have like I said in the beginning, an intercultural marriage, there is a lot of work involved in keeping one of these cultures, let's say, alive if you are immersed in the different ones. So while we were in the UK, both of us, we had to kind of or we wanted to keep both of our cultures, let's say, alive. But then we came here. So, of course, my kids are much more immersed in the German language system and in the Austrian system in general. But on the one hand, it's hard, of course, to keep this up the Bosnian thing. But on the other hand, in Austria, it's easier than in many other countries, I would say, because on the one hand, there's so many Bosnians here. And on the other hand, it's not so far. So you're kind of close and can keep the connection. So we kind of, to sum up, we do raise the kids bilingual. We sprinkle some English here and there, but it wasn't such a big focus of mine beforehand because I was so much focused on, I want my kids to be able to speak to their parents. This is so important to me. I cannot go home and like translate. This would be for me, it wouldn't work really. So now we are kind of slowly bringing in a little bit of English because my son is in the 1st grade. They have like very little, so we have songs or whatever. But because, as I said, language is really kind of the key to connecting to his roots or their roots of both of my kids, actually, the half in a way. And who knows, you know, they might one day live there a little bit or not, or visit longer. So it's an asset. And I know, and this brings me to the second question, actually. I know it's not an asset, an obvious asset if you talk to a lot of people, or if you listen, actually, if you listen to the media or whatever kind of a certain political spectrum is talking about which languages are good to have or which languages are more of a hindrance for these kids. But what I can say from experience of my son is that he's very quick in learning also English words and everything, because he just from birth has these 2 kind of language families where he was very quick learner in reading and writing and so on. He never had any trouble with that. And I think this is also because he's just heard so many different things. And I mean, there is lots of research on that as well, so we don't even need to. But in kind of the public discourse on migrants, migration, and language plays a big role in Austria, as you know as well. There is a stratification of who is good, who is not, or who is valuable in a way. And I think this is something we talk too much about, but we don't talk enough about. First of all, migration is kind of a natural phenomenon. This is, I think, and especially in a country like Austria, which has a rich history of having a lot of different people living here. I think if you look 100 years back or 150 years back in Vienna, it was kind of the same, that you had 40-50% people from abroad. So on the one hand, it's a natural phenomenon and people come and go. And as I mentioned, it's kind of a transient thing. But on the other hand, it's very difficult for obviously a lot of people, or maybe also young people who were born here and so on, if they always see a deficit. So if they're being seen as having some sort of deficit, and I think this having a more discussion that focuses more on what can they do instead of what can't they do would be really beneficial. But I know that this is not really happening, and it's obviously not in the interest of a lot of political streams, let's say, here.
True. I mean, both of us are from Bosnia, as you know. So my husband and I have come from the same place, actually. And with Esma, funny enough, I always spoke with her Bosnian, both of us. But she picked up German so much. So that
in kindergarten, yeah.
Yes, in the kindergarten, she picked it up, and which is, of course, I welcome, because let's be honest, she's going to live here for the certain period of time. She's going to go to school here, and then of course it's very important, very valuable. Her friends speak German. She's going to go to school here, so it's quite important. But now it's, picking up on Bosnian. As you said, my father doesn't speak German, my brother either. So we have friends over there. We are tied with Bosnia in so many ways. And one of the things I promised myself, one of the ways on one of the trips back to Vienna was, I'm not going to be a translator. I'm not going to do this translation when we go to Bosnia, because I know you're capable. And I know you can do it, and we will do everything in let's say in our power to support you in picking as much Bosnian as possible. She understands it. She understood it always, but I think that the fact is that she doesn't have much, except for us. And we have friends, but they don't see each other so often
to
regularly practice. And now we started with the Bosnian school. So we have this Bosnian school, Bosanska škola Mostovi.
I've heard of that.
Vienna, so she's the second semester there. So they're doing really great work. So if some of you are listening and thinking, so, they have a long waiting list. So they've been around for at least 10 plus years, that they're doing extraordinary work. And so that's one of the things that we are doing. And with she's growing, she's going to be 5 now, so she can pick up more and understand more. And she has cousins there, and she loves to go there, loves to be in Bosnia, has very positive emotions, which is also quite important for language.
I think this is the most important, I would say.
So I was like, oh, when are we going? So we cannot mention, we have to be very careful when we mention we're going to leave next week. So because every day she's going to
ask every day.
Should we go to sleep? So yes, so that's really, really important for me. As you said, an asset. It's been an asset. Bosnian language has been an asset for me since I moved to Austria, for instance, because I remember when we were applying for the first visa. So I had the first one, I had this Rot-Weiß-Rot. Back 13 years back ago. So it was a little bit different system, but the first year you have the first, and then the second one is for 2 years. It was an asset because we wrote that on an application letter that since I speak Bosnian, I can communicate with countries that they have subsidiaries in Croatia and other that they had. So it's an asset. It's always been an asset. And I know many people I met through my network, as you said, that got that job here in Vienna because they can do the whole CE region, or at least Balkan. So it's an asset. But as you said yourself, it's easier for me to understand because I can process it and I can have the real examples and people that I'm in touch, real stories. Than for my daughter when she gets later on in school for kids, because they're gonna learn and hear all the time. French. I'm just speaking now the language because that's also what the research says. If you speak French, it's like, wow. And if you speak Bosnian, it's like, okay, or don't mention it. Or
Turkish.
Turkish or others, Arabic or others. So it's like, but, it's so it's for us as well, to fight this misconception.
Indeed. It's a struggle. But I can tell you a little story. It just came to my mind from my son. We were, I think it was 3 years back, so I didn't have my daughter, or maybe even 4 years already. Yeah, it was 4. So he was around almost 4. We were in Montenegro, and then he was like, "Oh my God, everybody's speaking Bosnian here in Montenegro. Like, this is amazing." And then I was like, "Oh, look, with Bosnia, you can go far. You can, wherever you are, Croatia." And since then, he picked up, okay, Croatia, I can also speak. And then he met some friends here in our neighborhood, and then they spoke about going to the sea to Croatia. And he says, "Yeah, I like going to Croatia because I can speak also Croatian and stuff like that." So he kind of became a little bit proud that he knows so many languages.
Nice.
He can communicate through the whole region. And but obviously, I can say since he started school, German has become like way more important. So I would say it also goes in phases. So what I do is kind of try to be a little bit chill about it. It's not easy, obviously. And then if he wants to watch TV, then I say, okay, you have to do half of the film in Bosnian and then half of the film in German. And he sees, okay, so it's so these guys, but yeah, if forcing is hard, it's just motivating,
Yes.
and which is also hard. So yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
I don't have a definitive kind of answer, but what I also know from a lot of older kids who are now maybe early 20s and so on is that they felt sad if their parents didn't teach them the language. So not only our language, but I've spoken also from kids from Poland and so on, who then at university kind of has started learning their mother tongue in a sense.
True.
So it really also depends on them, how they're interested in and so on. But as long as there is an opportunity, I think it's never wrong. And like you say, it's an asset, even if it's not being viewed as an asset.
Yeah, because it takes time.
Public.
And to understand that, and moving from one country to the other is an asset. So much. It's all this suitcase of life, or it's all an asset, because you learn so much about yourself in such a quick time. So there's no training that can, it's a life training. So you come to the country, and then you have to pick up. I remember we came in a few months. You're like, okay, I the language, and I need you need an apartment, and you need the insurance, and then you need some friends and some circle, and you need a job, and you need money, and all that. So you figure out that. And when I go back to the times when we came here, it was in a couple of months. So it's a real training, and then everything you knew before. So like for me, it was kind of easier in a way that there's a huge community here from our country. So from Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia. So it's super easy to get in, and then you get valuable information so that you cannot find online and just go for a coffee and pick up. And people are usually so among us, we do share a lot of, people are very much open to share informations and the shortcuts. I think that is the thing, because if you cannot figure out, and it's among our people, because they find a shortcut to get from A to B, and that's super important. Whatever you're stuck in life, you're like, okay, I need to ask someone, because it's in Austria is like the bureaucracy, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 steps, and we are we have to figure out in a short period of time how to get from 1 to 10. So I cannot spare much time because of whatever reasons. So I think our people, people who come abroad are in their experience are so valuable. You just have to tap into that. Almina, we don't have much time left. I see our Zoom is ticking.
It's already.
And we have about 5 minutes. But any topics that you would like, or research, or what are you doing at the moment? That you would like to share with us, or people can go and pick up?
I mean,
we are nominated for the BALKAN Minds Award. So the Menti Hub, where I'm involved, and you are, so toi. We have about a few days since for people to vote. So if you're watching now and you have not voted yet, so you only need a Google account and 1 minute of your time. So I'll save the link, and I think you can vote actually for both at the same time. So you can vote for more pro category.
I voted for you already.
Oh, thank you.
for the Menti Hub, I think it was.
For the Menti Hub, yes. So thank you so much. Yeah.
No, I think you mentioned networks and these kinds of things, which is really important. And I think especially also in Austria, but I do want to emphasize, and this is coming from my research and from migration research in general, that it's very good to have networks in your own community. So let's say in our former Yugoslavian community in the beginning, in a way, but if you do want to succeed, it's even more crucial to expand this with the locals. And I mean, you know this very well.
I did that with an MBA.
Especially in Austria.
I figured out that, I had a strong network, in a way, international, because of my work, which was, Europe-wide. And then I realized, but I don't have, after 5 years, I don't have many, Austrians in my network. So like really very few. And then, the invitation for do the MBA, the Executive Academy came, and then I took it, and it changed. Your life and perspective.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of elevates your career.
Career and your feeling, it's like, Austria. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true.
And especially in Austria, and I think this is important for people who are just coming, like
Yes.
joining associations and things,
True.
volunteering and things like that. It's very big.
Engagement.
So this is, I think, really, exactly, really one thing. And people kind of appreciate that a lot because they can also seem a little bit closed, but is kind of once you are able to participate in these kinds of things, I think it's really important. And the second thing, it really is language. So without a certain level of German, it is very difficult. So it depends. I guess you can make plans in your life. I mean, I also never planned to come, stay, go, come back, and so on. It wasn't really, I didn't have a plan at 18 what will happen in the next 20 years. But you kind of have to invest a lot in language. And I see that also. I work a lot with Ukrainians who came to Austria a couple of years back, and they are, a lot of them are women actually, and they are investing a lot in learning the language and trying to.
Because I see for instance, in many places where I go, or it is regular shopping, I see many of them, and I see also in any places that I go. Yeah, true.
Yeah, so I think this is really, and yeah, I would say persevere. So belonging, and when you have arrived in a country, takes a long time, and it's the same with language. With, like we talked about our kids, it's not a straightforward trajectory. It kind of goes like this. So I think this is for people to remember as well. When you are new somewhere, in the beginning, it's very difficult. For me, it was difficult everywhere in the beginning, I have to say. Then it gets better, then it might get worse again. So it's kind of a wave you have to ride. And then hopefully you'll be happy where you ended up. Who knows, we might end up back in Bosnia for a while. It's also possible.
True. I mean, we know so many great people that came back to Bosnia, lived abroad for a very long time and came back. I mean, I see my Zoom is not responding these last few seconds. So let's wrap up. I hear you, I see you, so that's perfectly fine. So thank you so much from my side for you joining today and sharing your story. I really enjoyed it, and I hope many people will watch it and connect with you on LinkedIn and vote for you for the Balkan Minds Award. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and see you soon. Thanks.
See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.